Malcolm and Marie, right? Malcolm and Marie. Now, this film right here is, I want to tell you off the rip that this film is a tour de force. It is a tour de force. It is set up. The cinematography on this, the use of you moving the camera to tell you the story, between the cinematography and the edits to tell you the story and to show you when you come into the other person's point of view. Beautifully done telling this story. I'm going to tell you. Beautifully done telling this story, right? That's one thing. Malcolm and Marie. We're breaking down the technical side of why you are looking at the relationship. That this is a hour and some minutes of argument, to be kind. That it's an hour and some minutes of argument, but why you're cringing, but why you can't take your eyes off of the situation is not only due to the acting, but it is also due to the cinematography and the edit. First of all, this is not a true story, as I just said right there, but it's shot in black and white, right? Which gives it, when you see the opening credits, right, it gives you that classic feel, right? And if anything else, the classic feel of seeing two black characters in a film, you know, in the classic feel is incredible. It's the classic feel, but the dialogue is modern. Now, about the dialogue, the script writer in this, Malcolm and Marie, the dialogue of the interplay between the two people. One can be a protagonist, one can be an antagonist, and then it switches, and then the other person becomes an antagonist, and the other person becomes the protagonist. I mean, it's really masterfully done, this film right here, right? That's why you can't take your eyes off of it, right? Now, it opens up and they show you the house, right, where they're at. Then you see a car in the distance pulling up. Very kind of Hitchcockian in that aspect of it, right? So the car pulls up, and then next you hear the car door close, and then the two people come in, and it's a celebration. It appears, because this man's film has done so well, and the people are reviewing the film, but it soon turns twisted, right? Now, everything that's happening originally when you first see it, the camera is outside of the house, and you're hearing the story from outside the house, right? And so so it goes from close in, cropped in shots to wide shots to show you what's happening, focusing on the female character,
right?
And it's letting you know, even though, and you can hear the jovialness of the male character. You can look at her face and tell, hey, this isn't too jovial.
Yeah, for her.
It's for her. It's not too jovial. And she's just sitting there, And so she begins to prepare a box of mac and cheese, right? And so she clips the butter, she puts it in there, and then they're outside, and you can see this. And then when she pours the dry noodles into the water, the camera cuts on action, and you see it go in the water. Then the scene is on the inside. Beautiful cinematography and editing work on the part of the editor to bring the story in. You're outside, it's impersonal. Once the macaroni and cheese goes into the hot water, into the pot, then it turns personal. It goes impersonal. You're just on the outside looking in to you're in the middle of the thick of it, right? Beautiful cinematography. You have to, the storyline on it, the acting of these two soon, I mean, they're not veterans yet, but they played this like veterans. I don't think, I mean, I said this, I don't think that Denzel would have been able to play this to the level that his son played this at that age, right? He at his age now, it wouldn't make sense. The story, what the story is about, right? They're playing older than what they are. They're playing a decade back. They're playing Generation X. I think it's a period. It's back. They're playing Generation X in this because of not only what they're talking about, the conversation they have, but the music selection that they choose to tell the story. Right? It's Generation X being told here. Right? Let's go through the cast. Well, it's only two cast members.
Yeah. Starring Zendaya as Marie and John David Washington as Malcolm. And yeah, what I love about the music is it's just like, it's timeless because it's different types of music, right? And from different
musical genres that
that
Generation X would appreciate most, but because this is a story about Generation X, it's moving the next generations who enjoy this to start to enjoy the music that Generation X enjoy, which is not just their music of their time,
but also with jazz.
That's right. That's
soul and just a combination of everything.
That's right. So Malcolm and Marie, right? So we already told you cinematography is a 10. Character development, introducing you to each one of the characters, living, breathing, that's a 10. Matter of fact, the house itself is a character. Outside and inside the house is a living, breathing character in this. You can tell through the cinematography that their lives are sometimes they're the smallest in the room. You know what I mean? Beautifully shot. It just, each frame tells a story. It tells a story within film grammar, right? Character arc. Oh my God. I mean, it is a 10. The script, I have to throw the script in there, the cleverness of the writing of switching both characters, making one the protagonist one time and the other one the antagonist another time. Beautifully written, that's a 10.
It was written and directed by Sam Levinson.
Yeah, Sam Levinson, that's right. Beautifully done. It's hard to say, but this black and white really brings this piece out, and it makes you really look at this person, because this look on the black and white gives Zendaya that classic look.
Yes.
Right? That classic femme fatale look, right? You're going to love this. If you have not seen this yet, it's going to make you cringe. And if you're in a relationship, you're married or you're single, it's going to make you have conversation. And then you're going to be like, yo, what's going on here? Like, somebody's got to stop.
So what I love about it is like the realism in it, right? And like the conversation that they have, the argument, like the going back and forth, because like there are periods in the film where you're like on his side, right? And then you're on her side, then you like jump back and forth, right? Because they both have like great points.
Right.
and you can tell that they love each other. And then I agree with you. Well, we talked about it while watching the film. You were saying that you can tell that this is like one of those build up type of arguments. Like this could possibly be like a one-time thing because this is the moment where everything was put on the table.
Well, actually, I was saying it's a combination of arguments that people in relationships will have over time that is placed in this particular place at this time. So it's like these are arguments that people have that they get over that makes the relationship stronger, right? And so it was condensed into this time period at that moment in time with them. But this would be arguments that people will have over a long span of time. Right? They wouldn't all come compact into this story, but that's what makes it so unique. That it's all compact arguments that you would have over years. Things, arguments, somebody peeved you for some reason and it just kicks off. It is right there all together in one framework, right? One moment in time is shown in this film with arguments that would be over a longer stretch of time, if you see what I'm saying. All condensed together. That's what makes it so beautiful, and you're sitting up there like, wow. And then at first, I remember you were saying they probably gonna break out. I said, no, I think this is an example of arguments they will have over time.
But at the end,
it's gonna make their relationship stronger.
Yeah. But at the end, I said, oh, they'll be together because they were able to talk it out. Because the way they were like going at it with each other and like pulling out the knives, I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna last. But then as the night, went along, right, and the apologies started happening and the eyes start softening up, and then you can just see the love is there, and then you see by the time they get to the end of the film, you can see that they're still one, as a unit. But you know what, this gave me a feel for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I remember watching that film starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton, and it was about them and their relationship. And another film, it kind of War of the Roses, right? So I love relationship films, when the couples, they're talking about their relationship and what they're going through, and so I mean it's realism, right? Because they talk about emotions and wanting to be appreciated, and you can be so busy and involved in what you're doing that you can overlook how someone else is feeling, right? In the films that I mentioned, along with this film, like it's mentioned in each of those films, everyone wants to be acknowledged and respected and understood, right? So this is a really, really good film. And I don't know, for anyone that doesn't like understand this or can't get I guess maybe you would have to be or have been in a relationship to understand it, because I know I saw online that some people didn't understand it, or a lot of people did, but I just assume for those who didn't understand it, maybe they've never been in a relationship or have never been in love. Because this is a well done piece.
They say this is not a love story, but in actuality it is. Right. So what would you give it? What would you give?
Definitely a 10, because the acting was superb. Like, I've never seen Zendaya act at this level. I mean, we reviewed like a lot of her films.
Usually she plays a child.
And she does a great job in acting, right? In all of her different roles, right? Even on her TV show Euphoria, she took it to a whole nother level as an addict, right? But this piece right here, she's an adult, right? And she really, really, I mean, her acting is superb. And of course, David John Washington,
John Washington Davis.
John.
Look it up. I can't believe you threw it. You say Mr.
mixed
Washington.
his name. Yeah, Mr. Washington. He did an excellent job because, you know, we've seen him in previous work and we reviewed his other films.
But this is definitely.
But this right here, he's like, I see his character in this film. I'm like seeing Malcolm, right? So when I see John David Washington acting in this film, like I'm like, okay, so this is not the same acting in the previous film.
Right.
Like, you know, he embodies the character. He does like a really great job. I mean, he takes this character to different.
So they step.
Yeah, they do.
They step and they arc.
Because you see his highs and his lows, both characters, right? So they do, like you said, they really arc in this film.
So you give it a 10?
The 10, definitely.
Yeah, so I give it a 10 too.
They take you on a roller coaster ride.
They do.
Emotional roller coaster ride.
They do. They really do.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Because it gets to a point where you like both characters and you're like, okay, make up, stop arguing. And then just when you think it's calm, then here comes the storm. But each of them have valid points, right? So really, really good writing.
Really good writing. So people, moving right along to our next film, because you know that's a 10. This film right here is a 10.